Imagine two people open the exact same app on the exact same day, with the exact same free access to one of the most powerful tools ever built. One of them uses it for 5 minutes to write a funny caption for a photo of their dog. The other uses it for 5 minutes to restructure how they save, spend, and invest every single month for the rest of their life. Same tool, same 5 minutes, completely different futures. That's not a story about technology. That's a story about money psychology. And it's exactly why most people are about to use AI the wrong way, without even realizing it, while a small group of people quietly use it to get ahead financially for decades. Let's slow down and actually understand what's happening here. Because this isn't really about AI at all. It's about a pattern that has shown up with every major financial and technological shift in history, and it's about to repeat itself again, right now, in your own life. So here's the common belief floating around right now. A lot of people think AI is mainly a work thing or a fun thing, something for writing emails, faster, generating images, helping with homework, or having a quick conversation when you're bored. Useful, sure, but not something connected to your bank account. And on the surface, that seems harmless. AI feels like a tool for productivity or entertainment, not a tool for wealth. But here's the problem with that belief. Throughout history, the people who built real wealth weren't always the smartest or the hardest working. Very often, they were simply the first to treat a new tool as a financial tool, while everyone else treated it as a convenience. Think about something as simple as a basic budgeting spreadsheet. To most people, a spreadsheet is just a boring grid of numbers. But to someone who understands money psychology, a spreadsheet is a mirror. It shows you exactly where your money goes, exposes the gap between what you think you spend and what you actually spend, and gives you the power to close that gap before it quietly drains your future. Same tool, two completely different relationships with it. AI is following the exact same pattern, except the gap it's about to create is going to be much, much bigger. Now let's break this down step by step, because once you see the mechanics behind it, it becomes incredibly simple. Money decisions are rarely about math. If they were, everyone would already be saving more, spending less, and investing consistently. Because the math has always been obvious. Spend less than you earn. Invest the difference. Let time do the work. We've all heard this 1,000 times. So if the math is simple, why do most people still struggle with money? Because money decisions are emotional decisions wearing a financial costume. When someone buys something they don't need, it's rarely because they did the math and decided it was a good investment. It's because they felt stressed or bored or wanted to feel a certain way, even for a moment. The spending is really an emotional decision. The price tag is just the visible part of it. This is where AI quietly becomes either your biggest financial advantage or your biggest financial distraction, depending on how you treat it. Here's the simple version. Imagine AI as a mirror that can talk back to you. If you hand that mirror to someone who only sees it as entertainment, they'll ask it for jokes, memes, and quick answers to pass the time. Harmless in small doses, but it adds nothing to their financial life. But if you hand that same mirror to someone who understands that their habits, spending patterns, and emotional triggers are the real obstacle between them and wealth, suddenly that mirror becomes something completely different. It becomes a tool that can look at their spending, point out patterns they didn't notice, simplify confusing financial concepts, and help them make calmer, clearer decisions instead of emotional ones. Same mirror, same 5 minutes. Two completely different financial trajectories. This is the part most people miss, and it's the real heart of this video. For decades, financial knowledge was locked behind expensive advisors, complicated books, or confusing jargon that made people feel dumb just for asking simple questions. If you wanted to understand how compound interest worked, or how an index fund actually grows your money over time, or why your spending habits today shape your life 20 years from now, you usually needed either money to pay someone to explain it, or a lot of time to figure it out yourself. That barrier is disappearing. Right now, anyone with an internet connection can ask, in plain language, "Explain this to me like I'm 5, and get a clear, patient, judgment-free answer. No raised eyebrows. No feeling embarrassed for not knowing something everyone should know. That alone is a massive shift in money psychology, because one of the biggest reasons people avoid dealing with their finances isn't laziness. It's shame. People feel behind. They feel like they should already understand this stuff. so they avoid looking at it altogether, which only makes the problem grow quietly in the background. AI removes that shame barrier completely. There's no judgment, no eye rolls, no feeling rushed. Just patient explanations as many times as you need them. And here's where the psychology gets really interesting. Most people, even when given a tool that removes the shame barrier and the knowledge barrier, will still use it the same way they use everything else, to avoid discomfort, not to face it. Think about it this way. If you've been avoiding looking at your bank statements because they make you anxious, having access to a powerful AI doesn't automatically fix that. If anything, some people will use AI to avoid their finances even more efficiently, asking it to write a funny excuse for skipping a financial conversation with a partner instead of asking it to help them understand why they're afraid of that conversation in the first place. The tool doesn't change your relationship with money. It amplifies it. If your relationship with money is built on avoidance, AI will help you avoid more efficiently. If your relationship with money is built on curiosity and ownership, AI will help you build wealth faster than almost any generation before you. This is the deeper insight hiding underneath everything we've talked about so far. Wealth has never really been about access to information. It's been about what people do with information once they have it. For most of history, lack of access was a convenient excuse. I would invest, but I don't understand how. I would create a budget, but I don't know where to start. I would learn about index funds, but it's all so confusing. AI quietly removes almost all of those excuses. Not the discomfort, not the responsibility, just the excuses. And when the excuses disappear, what's left is a much more honest question. Are you someone who uses tools to grow, or someone who uses tools to escape? That single question is going to quietly separate people financially over the next 10 years, far more than income, education, or luck. Here's the part that should feel encouraging rather than overwhelming. You don't need to become some kind of finance expert overnight, and you definitely don't need to spend hours every day optimizing your money with AI. That's not the goal, and honestly, that approach burns people out fast. The goal is much smaller and much more powerful. It's about redirecting small moments. The next time you feel that familiar money anxiety, the kind that makes you want to close the banking app and think about it later, try redirecting that exact moment. Instead of avoiding it, ask a simple question. Can you explain my situation to me in plain language? What's one small thing I could change this month? Why do I keep spending more when I'm stressed? These aren't complicated questions, but they're the questions most people never ask because they never had a patient, judgment-free place to ask them. Start incredibly small. Once a week, take one financial question you've been avoiding, even something as simple as what does an emergency fund actually mean, and ask for a simple explanation. Not to become an expert, just to remove one layer of confusion. Over time, these small moments compound, just like money does. Confusion turns into clarity. Clarity turns into calmer decisions. Calmer decisions turn into consistency. And consistency, more than any app, any investment, or any income jump, is what actually builds wealth over time. So let's bring this all the way back to where we started. Two people, same tool, same 5 minutes. One uses it to escape a feeling. The other uses it to understand one. That tiny difference, repeated daily, weekly, monthly, for years, is what will quietly separate people financially in the coming decade. Not because one person had access to a better tool, but because one person used an ordinary moment to build a habit of understanding, while the other used it to build a habit of avoidance. AI isn't going to make you rich just by existing, but it's removing almost every excuse that used to stand between confused and informed, between avoidance and ownership, between feeling behind and finally catching up. The question is no longer, do you have access to the tools that build wealth? You already do, right now, for free, in your pocket. The only question left is the one that's always mattered the most. When things feel uncomfortable, do you reach for distraction or do you reach for understanding? Whichever one becomes your habit, that's the one that's going to shape your financial future.